Why did the French chicken cross the road? Because it heard that the grass was always greener on the other side, and it wanted to start a philosophical debate about it. Now, isn't that a clucking good start? The French, you see, have a knack for philosophy and debate. It's as if they've marinated their minds in the juices of Sartre and Voltaire, grilling every thought with a dash of existentialism and a sprinkle of enlightenment. These aren't just cooped up in classrooms or heated discussions in smoky cafes. Oh no, they roost in every corner of French life. From the way they savor their coq au vin, to the flair with which they don their berets, even the mundane act of crossing the road becomes a philosophical conundrum. Is the grass really greener on the other side, or is it just a matter of perspective? And is it the chicken that crosses the road, or the road that moves beneath the chicken? And that, my friends, is why in France, even the chickens are philosophers. Do you know why French baguettes are so long? Because they can't stand short jokes. Yes, folks, we're treading into the doughy heartland of French humor, the beloved baguette. In France, bread is not just a staple food, it's a cultural icon, a symbol of the French way of life. The baguette, with its golden crust and soft interior, is the epitome of this French obsession. But the humor lies not only in the length of the baguette, but also in how seriously the French take their bread. The French love their baguettes so much that there are laws governing their production. A traditional baguette can only contain 4 ingredients: flour, water, yeast, and salt. No preservatives, no additives. Even the length and weight are regulated. The slightest deviation can lead to an uproar. And it's not just the baguette. The croissant, the boule, the pain de campagne, each has its own set of rules and regulations. It's all very serious business. So serious, in fact, that it's laughable. But the humor doesn't stop there. Remember when a certain French president suggested that people should eat less bread to help combat obesity? The national outcry was so loud it could have risen a loaf of bread. It was a humorous reminder of how deeply ingrained bread is in the French culture and identity. So what's the punchline here? Well, it's not just about the baguette or the laws governing its production. It's about the French and their love for all things bread. It's about the irony of taking something so simple, so basic, and turning it into an object of national pride. It's about the bread and butter of French humor, taking the ordinary and making it extraordinary, turning the mundane into the marvelous, and doing it all with a twinkle in the eye and a smile on the lips. So remember, in France, never underestimate the power of a good loaf of bread. Why do French people eat frogs? Because snails were too slow to escape. Let's hop into the lily pond of French cuisine, where we'll find some rather riveting delicacies. Yes, we're talking about delectable frog legs and sophisticated snails. Now, before you turn your nose up, let's consider the irony. Both these critters, often squirmed at by many, have hopped and slimed their way into the realm of gourmet dining. In the early days, France was a land of forests and marshes, and what better to feast on than the abundant wildlife? Frogs, being the agile jumpers they were, proved to be a bit of a challenge. But the French, never ones to back down from a culinary challenge, decided to make a meal out of these elusive amphibians. But it wasn't just a case of finding a frog and tossing it in the pot. Oh no, the French turned this into an art form, crafting dishes so exquisite that they would make even the most skeptical eater croak with delight. Snails, on the other hand, were the slowpokes of the French culinary world. These little gastropods didn't stand a chance against the French and their penchant for unusual cuisine. But let's not mistake this for cruelty. Snails were thoroughly pampered before they ended up on a plate, fed a diet of wine-soaked bread to enhance their flavor. Talk about living the high life. What's funny is, these creatures, which many might consider pests, have become symbols of French sophistication. Imagine that, from garden invaders to gourmet delicacies. But let's not forget, this is France we're talking about. A country where cheese is left to mold on purpose and wine is considered a basic food group. So, really, should we be surprised that they found a way to make frogs and snails fashionable? So, next time you're feeling adventurous, remember the French motto: if it moves, it's food. If it doesn't, it's probably still food. Did you hear about the Frenchman who called his cat chien? He wanted to confuse the mice. Ah, the French language, a veritable feast of contradictions and confusions, much like that Frenchman's perplexed pet. Now, one might think that the French language, with its reputation as the language of love, would be all smooth sailing. But oh no, my friends, it's a linguistic labyrinth of tongue-twisting trials and grammatical gaffes. You see, in French, a simple slip of the tongue can turn a romantic confession into a request for a baguette. Take, for instance, the notorious French ER. It's not just an R, it's an adventure, a journey into the wilds of throaty sounds that leave many a language learner gasping for breath. And let's not forget the gendered nouns. Yes, in French, even the tables and chairs have a gender. Go figure. Then there's the delightful dance of French grammar, where verbs pirouette through different tenses and moods with the grace of a Parisian ballet dancer. It's a performance that leaves even the most diligent students scratching their heads in bewilderment. And the pièce de résistance? The French love their silent letters. They sprinkle them throughout their words like confetti, but don't you dare pronounce them. It's like an elaborate linguistic game of hide and seek. So whether you're professing your love or ordering a croissant, remember, in French it's not what you say, it's how you say it. We've taken a humorous journey through France today, from philosophical chickens to confused cats. We've chuckled at the quirks of French cuisine, from the humble baguette to the adventurous frog leg. We've navigated the twists and turns of the French language, a labyrinth of love and confusion. And we've discovered the secret ingredient to French life, a hearty dose of humor. And remember, whether you're crossing the road, baking bread, eating frogs, or speaking French, always do it with a sense of humor.